Ladies and gentlemen, SuckItUpUSA.com presents Suck It Up MMA Live. No excuses, no quit. With your hosts, positioned firmly in front of the control board, and out of the red corner, Tom McManus! Across the desk, and out of the blue corner, Larry the Professor Sheely!
Special guest today, John Crouch is here with us on MMA Live on the Suck It Up Radio Network. John, thanks so much for your time and joining us on MMA Live with Tom McManus and Professor Larry Sheely. How are you?
Very good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, John. And I know you and Larry go a little ways back, and he's just been bringing on great individuals onto the show, on my radio show in the morning here in Jacksonville. And from all that he's told me, you fit the bill to a T, my friend. So thanks again.
Of course, Larry used to beat me up back in the day, so I'm glad he remembered me.
Yeah, right. He did. He's gotten me a couple times, too.
No, John, these guys, they were for real. I remember first time out at the academy, or one of the first times doing one of the camps, I'm getting the crap choked out of me, and John was one of the assistant instructors or instructors in training, and he's trying to kind of nicely tell me how to get out of it.
Yeah.
I'm looking up, and he's kind of like, kind of making motions like what you do, and I'm about to get my head ripped off. So he tried to help me, but I was pretty much helpless at the time. But thanks anyway, John.
That's great. Now, John, your background's in Taekwondo. Larry was telling me, and I'm on your website, jcbjj.com for everybody out there. That's jcbjj.com. And I know your instructor, Phil Spence, introduced you to it in an indirect way, but how did you go from, all right, I'm all striking in Taekwondo to getting into grappling and really, just falling in love with it and diving into it? How did that go about for you?
Well, Phil Spence was my instructor in Taekwondo, and he was a tactical instructor for the sheriff's department where he was.
Okay.
So he traveled to the Gracie Academy, took some classes there, came back and showed us. And one of the guys, a couple little guys there were beating me up bad. And I knew I had to get out there and give it a shot. I really enjoyed it. So I went to the Gracie Academy, stayed with my brother as an Orange County sheriff. I lived with him for the summer and loved it. And I moved back the next summer for 6 years and decided to train there. I loved what they were talking about, the reality of fighting, and Taekwondo was fun, but Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was the next step up.
And it's interesting you say. I'm glad you said that, because like even Eddie up in Indianapolis,
right.
What's his mindset? I don't need to go to the ground. I kick and punch.
No.
I don't ever need to go to the ground. But that if they really went against somebody that would take you to the ground, they realize pretty quick, John, that all that Taekwondo goes out the door when you're on the ground, doesn't it?
Yes, sir, it does. At the highest level, the guys train in everything. When we're talking about UFC-trained fighters, it's easy to look at them and say, okay, Anderson Silva, he's very hard to take down, or George St. Pierre. But those are guys that are black belts in jiu-jitsu. Those are guys that have trained for years and years at the highest level. So just a normal guy that's only trained, say, whatever, Taekwondo or kickboxing or something, against a high school wrestler, the high school wrestler is going to win every time.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Totally agree with
What's
that.
the biggest challenge, John, for people to get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stick with it?
I think the same challenge as is with everybody in life, being consistent. If you can just get in there, find something that you love to do, and be consistent with it, you have a chance to be successful at it. But, how many people have you known in your business that have started and stopped? Maybe they had talent or potential, and they never just followed up. So the hardest part is just get to the gym. Find some place that you like to be, and then invest some time, whether that's 1 day a week or 5 days a week. It doesn't matter. Just stay consistent, and the results will come. That to me, is the hardest part.
John Crouch here with us on MMA Live on the Suck It Up Radio Network. We'll get into a couple of the guys that you have trained throughout the years. Very interested to hear about you training Special Forces, Navy SEALs, DEA, and other law enforcement officials. What's that like physically for you, John, and what do you get out of it, as far as helping these very important groups, be the best they can be and able to handle themselves?
Well, I was very fortunate to train with Horian Gracie, Elio Gracie, and Hoist Gracie. and I got to help them with a lot of those seminars. But, man, some hard-working guys, super tough guys, and it just felt really good to give them some more tools, to handle themselves, to keep themselves safe. My brother was in the Marines. He's a cop in Orange County, and I have, it's my family, man. I want him to be safe out there. So getting a chance just to help back and give back a little bit is awesome.
How much does a guy that is competing in MMA that has the striking capabilities of in Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I know today they're so well-rounded, but just with Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu together, how does that make a fighter in MMA?
Well, I love Taekwondo. I had a great time, but a lot of those techniques are not applicable to the street.
Okay.
Okay. It's good conditioning. It's good for your flexibility, and some of the stuff is great. But straight Muay Thai boxing, American boxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu, those are really the pillars of it for me. That's what I think is super important.
Yeah, I guess, and I only took it for football, the Taekwondo, because it helped me with flexibility, but I don't know how many spinning back kicks you're doing out in the street, right? I mean, would you even have time for that? I guess.
Oh, man, you miss one of those, and that's the end of the story. That's the last thing you remember before you wake up.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, no question about it. All right, let's talk about some of the guys that you have trained. Larry has informed me, and again, I'm on your site. You helped Royce prepare for some fights. You've coached Alvin Robinson, the Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and UFC veteran, and Ben Henderson, who's the newly crowned UFC lightweight champion. That's got to be a lot of fun for you to train these guys and coach them up.
I love it. The relationship is the most important thing for me. I really stress team and family. And, Alvin and he got into the UFC. We were training in just a jiu-jitsu club, just he and I, really, for a long time. So it was very rewarding to see him come up through the ranks and, make it to the UFC. Ben Henderson is an awesome guy. We have a great relationship. We actually own our gym together now.
Oh, nice.
And he's a super athlete, plus being super dedicated. It's been a whole new thing, man. I helped Royce back in the old days when it was no holds barred, and now being involved with the modern UFC, it's pretty cool. I got to say, I have a great time doing it.
I think it, and I don't know if I do it justice, but man, Ben Henderson is in some kind of condition, boy. He's put together and ready to rock your world. Jeez.
Yeah, he's a freak, boy. Like you can't get him tired. People who's going into the fight with Frankie, and as you know, probably they have a rematch set up.
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to talk about Frankie's conditioning and heart, and I just let him because I know how nobody's going to beat Ben in those areas. Nobody. And so they want to keep talking about how it's better than ours. That's fine. We got a little surprise for you. That's good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Keep thinking we don't have that, but I think the secret's out now.
Well,
and is super tough and super conditioned. You're not ever going to make him tired or quit. That's for sure.
One thing, John, I saw in the fight, going into the 5th round, you asked Ben, "Hey, can you give me 5?" He said, "I can give you 15." I don't know. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah, he probably could have given another 25, honestly.
Wow.
I was just trying to get his attention. We had talked before, sometimes in the 5th round, he tends to relax. Like we do, he'll do 7 and 8 rounds of sparring with fresh guys as we prepare for a 5-round fight. So I knew he had it in him. I was just trying to get his attention focused on the task at hand. So, I knew that.
Yeah.
Everybody's told me about that. It makes me giggle, and it got him a little bit fired up.
It
so
did. It
Wow.
did, because you were hard. You made it clear. And when he said that, I said, yeah, he's got it in him, baby. That was fun. That was a great fight to watch, dude. Plus, you look so pretty on TV, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I try to deflect it from me onto the fighters. It's not really my show, and I regret that I kind of take the spotlight away from
Yeah,
Wow.
man, you're good about that, John. Very good.
Hey, John.
Dude, I might be, if I'm not the ugliest guy at the UFC, I'm close. I'm in the bottom 10 for sure.
You're in good company here, buddy. You're in good company. So when you're training, for these types of fights, but take Ben Henderson for example, how, the scheduling, John. Obviously, I would assume that you ramp it up pretty heavy, within a certain date range of the fight, then you cool down, or whether it's a day or 2 days, I have no idea. But how long out do you start? And just, you mentioned, 7 to 8 rounds with fresh guys every round to get them ready. That's just unbelievable, very hardcore, and obviously what it takes. But talk about the scheduling, if you would, in training these fighters and getting them prepared for such fights.
Yeah. Some people talk about 3-month training camps, and that's crazy to me. That's for people that haven't been in the gym. So you have to take, 4 or 5, 6 weeks just to get into shape, regular shape. And then the last 6 to 7 weeks are about getting into fight shape and, working on that kind of stuff. The thing about these guys now, Efren Escudero, who's the Ultimate Fighter season winner, 8, he trains here as well. So, we have a whole bunch of guys that are ready to break out, but we keep camps to about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Ben does a 7-week camp. The last Saturday before an event, 1 week before the event, will be our hardest sparring day.
Okay.
And then the week before the fight is, recovery, cut the weight, relax, get some rest, and then be ready to go. So it's basically 6 hard weeks, with each week, the intensity picking up in the sparring. Mm-hmm. We have a strength and conditioning coach here. We have a nutritionist here. We have, Muay Thai instructor, boxing instructor. So everybody, we're all on the same team, and we kind of get together and schedule the workout. So they have a very specific schedule up to the last week of the fight.
John just came out after the fight, shortly thereafter, I guess, that there'll be a rematch between Ben and Edgar. What do you? How do you guys feel about that? I'm sure you're ready to go, but were you surprised that came down from Dana White?
Nah, I don't care.
Yeah.
We're gonna you set him up and we'll knock him down. I don't care. Frankie's a great guy. I love him. I'm a huge fan. But we beat him cleanly. So if they feel like he deserves a rematch, then we'll beat him again. But we're looking at rematches all down the line. We're going to have to fight Pettis again. We already fought Pettis. We have to fight Jim Miller again. We already fought Jim Miller. If Clay Guida beats Craig Maynard, we might have to fight Clay Guida again. We already beat Clay Guida.
Okay.
So, you know what? You set him up, and we will knock him down. No problem.
Any new contenders out there to keep our eye on, or that has caught your guys' attention at all?
As far as in the lightweight division?
Yeah, just any new guys that are on the horizon.
Edson Barbosa is really tough. It'll be interesting to see him come up. He's one that we've talked about. He just has such a great Muay Thai game. I haven't really seen him against any wrestlers, so it'll be interesting to see him, grow into the sport. Pettis really hasn't hit his potential yet. I think he's only 23 or something, 22. But really, the lightweight division is just packed. At any given moment, any of those guys are super tough. They're all tough matchups. So, while we don't have a whole bunch of specific ones, just yesterday, the fight team, we were talking about Edson Barbosa and how much we like watching him fight. So he's a young kid from Brazil. I'd really keep an eye out for him.
Any others out of your camp that we should be looking for, John?
In our camp, absolutely. Efren Escudero is going to fight Mac Danzig in Atlanta on April 21st, I believe.
Yep, that's going to be there.
We have a young kid that started here. His name is Chris Gritzmacher. And he's 9-1. He's been Ben's main training partner. He's going to fight in El Paso with the new Worldwide MMA on March 31st. He's going to be 10-1. He's already gotten a couple calls from the big show that they're looking at him. So hopefully he'll be there soon.
Great.
Another 45er is Yautzin Meza. He's 19-5 or something. I don't know. Lots and a little. And most of those losses happened in the first 7 fights of his career, because he was he was just going to fights and not training. So he's a tough son of a gun.
Wow.
We had a whole gym full of tough guys,
Beautiful.
but I would say those are the guys that are next on the horizon.
That's great. That's great. Want to get to know them as well, John?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. John, how did they get called up to the big show, other than just keep winning matches, keep winning fights? Is there more to the story of getting that shot? Is it, their charisma, their personality? Does that come into play, or is it simply, no, you keep winning your fights, you keep improving, you keep going against tougher opponents and knocking them down, you will get your shot no matter what?
I would say it's Probably half and half. If you keep winning, eventually they can't keep you out of there.
Okay.
Unless you're the most boring fighter in history, then they don't want you. And this is not an official policy, just my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
They want guys that are going to do crazy stuff. They want stand-up fighters. They don't want wrestlers that are going to control people. But wrestling wins fights, So if you have a grinder, like Grits is kind of a grinder, but he's tough. He's gotten better. His stand-up is good. But when he was younger, he was a grinder. So it's taken him a little longer than it would take somebody else. Even Benson had to go to the WEC first,
right.
Before they let him into the. I mean, he was turned down for the Ultimate Fighter, I think, 3 times. So, yes, they're looking for personality. I would say that definitely factors in because, there's a lot of kids out there knocking on the door, and they want somebody that'll make people turn on the TV.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense with the TV. I mean, that's why they keep quarterbacks clean in the NFL, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Got to have the stars
right.
out there and protected for sure. John Crouch is our guest, JCBJJ.com. John, thanks so much for joining us. Just another great interview on our MMA show here. Larry, of course, the professor, with what he brings to the table. And I'm a novice. I love it. I got so much respect. I love the fact that it doesn't matter your stature. You can do it too. In other sports, if you're too small, you're not going to make it or whatever the case may be. But you really have a chance if you work on your game. Mano y mano. No, you don't have you do have your team in the corner, obviously, but it's you against the opponent. You're either walking out or not walking out. I mean, right. I love it. And the best part about interviewing guys like you is you're grounded, you're confident, you're not bullies. It's not about beating people up. It's about improving in your sport. And I think that's, as an athlete myself, I think that's really awesome.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time, and I love what I do. I feel very blessed to be with the people I'm with. So thanks a lot for having me on your show.
John, thanks for coming. And one story I wasn't going to tell, but I decided to tell it. I've been choked to sleep twice. Once was with Hoist, actually during a seminar, just showing a technique, and I just went out fast for some reason. But the first time I got choked out was by you, John. I don't even know if you remember this.
I don't.
It was one of my first times in the Gracie Academy, and they're having you guys work with us. And I didn't even know to tap, and just a simple front choke from the guard. And like these cats, I mean, I was out, and I wake up and look around, and I thought you knew you did that. I don't know if I told you or not, but I was out. Wow. And I almost quit. The sport.
I don't. Well, I probably meant to at the time, but I'm sorry about that.
That's
good. Hadn't been the same since.
Yeah.
But John, great talking to you. Thanks for being a part of this, and I want to keep up with your fighters, man. Are you going to be in the Atlanta with Efren? In Atlanta at 45?
I'll be in Atlanta with Efren, and I'll be in El Paso with Grits, too.
Great.
Great.
Well, good luck with it all, buddy, and thanks again.
Yeah, and we're going to be up at that Atlanta fight, so hopefully we can see you. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to catch up and meet face-to-face. That would be awesome.
All right, John. Thanks so much.
John.
Have a great day.
This has been a production of SuckItUpUSA.com and EIGProductions.com. Heard exclusively on the Suck It Up Radio Network.